Go ahead and start screaming live, okay? Chair Leggett, the floor is yours.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to call this meeting to order. It is now 1:07 p.m. This is the Service Delivery Committee, Operational Committee, and we have an agenda. So I think we should follow this agenda as written. The first thing on the agenda is our proposed board agenda items by committee. Service delivery. Is there anything from you, Dr. Manning?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, Mr. Massimo?
No, sir. We have our reports next on the agenda, and we are prepared with those, sir.
Move forward.
All right, very good, sir. I'm going to jump in. Dr. Manning is certainly going to be delivering his full regular report, but there's a couple of items at the beginning of this agenda that I wanted to talk to and point out some changes that are upcoming, and also to provide the board with some additional specific information with regard to safety. Under safety, security, risk, and risk management, as well as training operations, there will be elements of those reports that will migrate over to our new Chief Administrative Officer, who has started this week, Mr. Gerald Sanders. You all have seen that information. We are excited to have him join the CAP team, and safety, security, and risk management, as well as training, will fall under him. Obviously, in operations, though, there will be a blend, and of course at CAP we always operate as a team. So we're going to be looking at how we maybe amend our reporting structure a little bit on the elements of those topics, in order to give you and the public that are joining us the best information in the most transparent way. On the safety, security, and risk management, I also wanted to mention we alerted the board last week to an incident. It was actually 2 incidents that occurred last week around indecent exposure in and around our facilities and our vehicles. There were 2 events that happened last week, and there were earlier in 2023 2 additional events, so 4 total for the year. We, in response to that, we did several things. There is one operator who was impacted by 2 out of those 4 events. There is no other alignment, though. There is no other, it's not the same routes, it's not the same days of the week, it's not the same times of day. There is nothing else that suggests anything else that would help us to be able to be more predictive. However, we did have one operator who had experienced this twice, once back in March and then again in October. We are providing for both her and for any other employees that feel the need, that kind of supportive mental health support, to make sure that these kinds of very inappropriate and, as the mayor said, very criminal activities are taken seriously, and we want, obviously, our operators and all the traveling public to feel safe. So last week we improved the radio communication for our security personnel to help improve response time. We already had a communication system in place, but we have further equipped them with additional radios so that things, more direct contact can be made, rather than always going through the transit center and so forth, or through the dispatch. Then we also committed a vehicle to the security supervisor, so that a faster response, again, in getting the lead personnel to the site of where anything may be occurring. We obviously enjoy a lot of support from Savannah PD. As a matter of fact, last Friday while I was down there, they were helping out with a different kind of incident, but the homeless situation. They were helping us out down there then, and they are certainly a strong part of our safety protocols. We are looking at how we message to the public with a "if you see something, say something" awareness campaign around any of our stops, shelters, or on any of our facilities. And we put out a media release last week, which the board got a copy of and the public would have seen, that also was accompanied by a statement, again, by Mayor Johnson, again, committing to not only the response in terms of safety, but the awareness and prevention of these kinds of events. So I think that was asked a question by the media about this, about does this seem like an uptick in these events? And I don't know that that's necessarily the case. I do think that in many communities, we're seeing mental health issues and an increase in homelessness that, you know, sometimes lends itself to this kind of activity. But we are working in partnership with all, including the union leadership. We made sure to bring our union leadership directly into our response. And we made sure we've kept them up to date since, so that they can be a good, clear line of communication to the operators in terms of how CAT is caring for them and caring for all of our staff as well as the public. So I just wanted to be sure and give you all that update on that. And we will also be delivering that in other committees as well as in the overall board meeting to make sure that if there's any questions or comments around that, that we receive them. Thank you very much. And I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Manny for the regular report.
All right. Good afternoon, Director Leggett and Director Bobby and Miss Faye and the public watching us live. I'd like to take this opportunity to inform the public that CEO has put all credible measures in place in terms of safety. If our system is safe, people will ride it. And I applaud her for what she did just this week. With that said, we have also put measures in place to minimize the amount of preventable accidents. Accidents that can be preventable, we hold our bus operators accountable. And what we do is we take action plan to retrain them. Most of the time, you can see that rear-end accidents, mirrors, these are all costs to the company. And also, it also interrupts our service. When a bus is in an accident, we have to swap a bus. That is all interrupting our service. So the safety risk manager has put in place aggressive retraining for preventable accidents. And if you look at those numbers have gone down tremendously comparing to what we had last month, when on-site pulling the bus out was also an issue. So I applaud him for that measures, for doing everything to retrain our drivers, and accidents that can be preventable, they should do that. And that's a good thing. Next slide, please. Our training is very productive. It's ongoing. The CDL program is a plus. Last time we had almost about 5 students graduate, and the class, currently we have 3 supervisors, and in our industry, supervisors are required to have a CDL. So in the event of driver shortage, a supervisor will take a bus out. And currently we have 4 supervisors that don't have a CDL. So since we started this program, we added them to the class. So currently in this class in September, we have 3 supervisors that are in training to get a CDL. The road test is this Friday, and if they all pass the road test, they'll all be issued a CDL. So that was also more added value to our staff. So in an event that the driver doesn't show up or we're short, it's a supervisor with a CDL can operate a bus and provide service to the public. And I'm proud that we're doing this. Currently, we have 2 CDL. Now, if somebody walk into our system, they have to train. They will have a CDL, but by CAT policy, they still have to train to know our service, what routes we run on. And so that training is 5 weeks with the CDL. Those that have just regular license and require a CDL, that is 6 to 7 weeks. We train them on our routes, and also we train them how to drive a bus. And we had 2 students, one pulled out for family reason, but I'm very happy to announce that the next class that is starting October 23rd, we might have 15 students. Out of the 15, 5 have already CDL, and 10 of them will be in our CDA program, which is a very, very good thing. If they all come out good, we will have 15 students graduated with CDL to join our workforce. The good news here on this slide, if you can see that I have highlighted, so if I put that in red of our ridership on the fixed route. So the month of September, ridership went up 0.9%. That means people are using our system. The more we see this number high, is a joy for our whole industry and for our company. That public transit system is back or getting close to pre-COVID days. So the month of September, we had 167,484. Compared to August, it was an increase of 0.9%. So this is always a good start. And also, if you can see on the slide where it says top 5 time points early departure, this number has gone down tremendously. An early departure means that if a bus is scheduled to leave the call center, that bus has to leave on time. If it leaves early, it's gonna leave most people behind. And so the 3B, the 4, the 25, the 14, and these numbers used to be the double digits. As you can see, they're all in single digits, 2 minutes early. Now, this is all gonna go away in November when we're gonna start our bus communication center, where also there's gonna be a supervisor at the zone that will make sure that all these buses leave on time. If a bus leave on time, it's gonna be on time. If it leaves too early, it's gonna leave most people behind. And that's just the trend in our industry. So we'd rather have you leave late. Our policy and most industries have a 0 to 5 minute. In other words, you can leave on time or be late 5 minutes, but don't run early. Because when you run early, you're gonna leave people behind. An example was that the 25 gets to ITC and the driver leaves early. So the connection from other routes is all missed. And so in November, when we're gonna launch our bus communication center, there'll be a supervisor stationed at the ITC, and that supervisor's role is to make sure that buses leave on time and also connect buses that are coming in so that there'll be a connection. It's not the bus gets there and the connecting bus already leave. That is all going to change in November when we're going to start our bus communication command. Any questions?
I have a statement. It's good to see that they're improving each month.
Yes.
They're picking up and
And dropping off, yes. That's the
Let me
goal.
ask you one other question.
Yeah.
I noticed we had about close to 500 more riders. Is that telling us that the public is getting back out again?
Yes, yes. That's why I said in the industry, anytime you say high ridership is good, that means people are using our system. Now, our campaign is that leave your vehicle home and come ride with us. So anytime I see that ridership going up, it's a joy to not only me, to entire companies. Next slide, please. We're still on the fixed route. One thing I want to just, if you look at on the slide that says current month, and you're going to see the mode and the missed trips. So the last one that said roll calls, and I just had a meeting with my maintenance head, and the number 34, and you can see this when we get to the maintenance side. This number is reported with all buses that are swapped. And they are not roll calls. Roll calls means the bus broke down and then we just took another bus. So, and the next reporting, I'll make another column that will only report roll calls and bus swap. So when you swap a bus, and then for example, if a driver calls in and says, my air condition is down and I need the bus swap, that is not a roll call. That bus, they will communicate with the bus driver and says, when you get to ITC, we're gonna swap your bus. That is all reported in this report as road call. We're gonna differentiate that and make sure that bus swap is different from a road call. A road call, pretty much FTA standard, means the bus broke down, couldn't finish the route. So I just want the public and also the board to be aware that there will be some more changes in explanation on this one in our next reporting. I think, yes, next slide, please. Now, the paratransit side, the good news is that if you can all recall that we graduated 12 new drivers. They all joined our workforce on the, I think, the 23rd. And even that week, 1 week span, look at the difference. So I'm very, very optimistic that next month report is going to be very, very good. Just having the 12 join our workforce, the cancellation went down. That's why I highlighted that in red. If you compare that to the month of August, cancellations was 663. It went down to 629. And then just 1 week of having our workforce. So the next reporting is going to be very good. And if you look at the unassigned, this is very good news. Unassigned scheduled trips. That's the standby. The standby means we don't have drivers, so you have to stand by. If you get drivers, we'll call you. Look at how the difference between that number. The month of August was 1,072. And in September, it's 707. Just only having them join us 1 week to the end, before the end of the month in September. And after that, we have never, all scheduled, all paratransit reservations are all filled up. And a next report, I'm gonna showcase and talk more about that. So paratransit, as we speak, need about 4 drivers to be full staff. We also have 20 brand new vehicles. The gasoline vehicles came in and they will be all rolling out next week. So I'm very, very happy that paratransit, I will say that all the old days and with all the problems have been solved.
One thing I would add here for the public and for our board members is that in the near future, this report will say paratransit and on-demand operations.
Yes.
And you will start to see the reporting out in the spring of the activation of the microtransit as it goes into effect. Now, of course, this week, toward the end of the week, we've got the kickoff of the SMART Grant External Advisory Board and Stakeholder Committee work. And we will have some vehicle demonstration going on toward the end of this week, but the activation of the 2 West Chatham microtransit zones and the East Savannah microtransit zone will come in March and thereafter. And so you'll start to see those kinds of metrics being reported out in addition to traditional paratransit. And we're also working with Federal Transit Administration and our colleagues across the country that are already in the space of considering how on-demand transit, paratransit and microtransit and similar things, how those things fit with our fixed route service and our overall system. So there's a lot of good news coming here that is really going to serve the future of CAT. So I wanted to be sure to mention that.
Thank you, Mr. Mo. If I can jump in real quick, thank you for those dates, because people have been asking about those the microtransit and how we are expanding within the eastern side, because we've already touched the western. And I think that I want to actually give you guys congratulations as an organization that I think that we're the only transit agency in the area that's really following through with the sustainability pledge. And not even the city of Savannah is not as far as we are. So we're working in tandem just to make sure that our pledge to being for working with the sustainability part of it is really looking good. So thank you guys for contributing to that plan and keeping everybody safe. But my second part is when we're talking about safety that we were talking about earlier, that is there a way that we can have like an emergency button, or do we already have one that if it was an issue that operator had on the bus that they can push a button and we automatically have something recording, or is it something on the bus that now records 24/7, or as long as there's an operator on the bus that give us that sense of security?
So we already have cameras that record while the bus is in operation, but in addition to that, there is a place where the operator, if there is an urgent situation on a bus, that they can activate, and we will know in dispatch and in safety and security that there's an issue there and that they need immediate help. So both that sort of fail-safe notification is there, as well as the cameras. I wanted to give one follow-on comment, and I know then Director Lockett's also got a comment as well. Appreciate you recognizing the work that's being done, but something I think that the board and the public and the community can be especially proud of is, in addition to sustainability, the microtransit piece in particular is about sustainability, equity, and workforce development. And to my knowledge, we are the only microtransit, once we get started, and in the planning work that we're doing now, we are the only microtransit project proposed in the country that is fully electric vehicles, that includes their union operators as the staff and workforce development around electrification, and then is also being rolled out, especially with the very first piece of it, with an eye towards equity in areas where we either don't have service or where we have some of the greatest need in our community. So I know you all are as proud of what we're doing, and I hope as the public sees this come to fruition, that they too will feel as proud as we all do of the work that's happening here. It's really it's a first in the country for all of the pieces of it it's the first that's doing something with their local HBCU and their technical college and their union operators and the electric vehicles and so forth. So we're CAT proud.
All right, and also to add on to,
Director Lockett had a question.
Is the microtransit, is that a new trend in the transportation now?
It is for absolutely, and I know Director Lockett, you were one of the participants in the APTA meeting that we all just went to, and I know you heard about it a lot there.
Yes.
Certainly, it's starting to really bridge that gap and be a part of what the modern marketplace is looking for. People want to go where they want to go, when they want to go there, and always a fixed route bus may not be the way to get that, to provide that customized trip, and you may not be a paratransit user, so you're in that middle space. And I think it's particularly helpful in some of the things that you all have as board members have brought up about first mile, last mile, and the more customization of the trip. It's a more efficient way to get it done, which will also be more cost efficient, but when it drives ridership up, that's going to be all good for CAT. So that's a very important point that you make. Thank you for that comment.
And therefore we are ahead of the curve.
We are ahead of the curve, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Dr. Meany?
yeah. All right, Chair, back to your question about driver safety. Yeah, we do have a switch on the bus called Panic Switch. And the good news is that in November, when we launch our bus communication center, there will be a supervisor monitoring all our fleet out on the street. And if anything on the bus, they can zoom in on the bus and see it. And they can also communicate with the supervisor. Just currently, anything you say is broadcasted for everybody to hear. We're gonna have a one channel system that goes to the command center, which will be the bus communication, so they can communicate privately, that not even a passenger on the bus will hear about it. So all this is in the work, and in November will be our launch time when we're gonna launch this program called the Bus Communication Center. So back to paratransit, I just want to say one more thing before we go to the next slide. If you see on the left-hand side, it says no shows. And per month, you're gonna see no shows. The no shows is something that, regardless of how fully staffed we are, won't be affected. The only thing that to change that, and in my next slide, it is about that. If you compare the no shows of last month of August to September, you're going to see that that number went down. Not much, but it's a sign that whatever we have put in place is working. So next slide, please, and I'll talk about this, what we've done for the no-shows. So the no-shows pretty much means that if a paratransit customer books a ride and the driver shows up with a vehicle and the customer don't show up, that is affecting us a lot. That means we have run paying the driver all the costs of gasoline time, and also that slot would have been useful for somebody that really needs service. So you book a ride, you pretty much block that time, and when we get to your house, you don't show up, and then we have to come back empty. So that is really affecting us, and we have put in place an action plan to correct all this. So my team is enforcing card policy. Card policies, if this happens once, you have a point system, and when you get to 12 points, we have all right according to our policy to suspend you from using our service. So we also monitoring this, the customer's behavior, how many people are doing this, kind of a trend record to see that behavior trend and see who are the people that are just booking our ride and don't show up at all. So that is in place, and I'm happy we're catching up on this because it really affects our transit system across the nation of no-shows. Next slide, please. Now on the marine side, last month was a little bit low because of the amount of August with the hurricane, and also tourists were down and all that stuff. So the month of September, it went up again, 8.5%. That's why I highlight that in red. And I did talk to the head of Marines, and he says trend record shows that September tourism picks up, and also we have a lot of groups that were touring Savannah. So that's why the ridership was also high. So I just want to inform the public and the board that yes, the Marine is back again, and more than the target benchmark that we have set. And on the maintenance side, yeah, it's good. No, that's it. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, maintenance, yeah. On the maintenance side, as you can see, where it says fixed route, non-EV. So the distance, the mean distance between vehicle, I've said that over and over, is how long can we run our vehicles before they break down. The board has set our benchmark to 12,000 miles. The national average is 14,000 miles. So on the fixed route, though the vehicles are over useful life and over age, the shop is doing a good job to still keep them running. And if you can see on the fixed route, we were above our target of 12,000 miles to 14,407 miles. And on the EV side, it's low because of our, we don't have our en route charging system. The en route charging system, we have a committee that looks into that. It's a system whereby on the route, there will be a charging system, a charging station, what we call substation, so the electric vehicles can branch off the route and recharge and get back on route. We don't have that yet, so we're not running the electric vehicles fully as we should. That's why you can only see 11,611 miles below the 12,000 benchmark, but all because of the charging. If we have the ITC, which we're gonna have a charging station that Georgia Power is working on, when that is completed, when the electric bus pulls into ITC, it'll go under, it's overhead charging. It'll go in there and get some more power, electric charge, and then go back on the route. And then if that happens, you're gonna see that the electric vehicles will also, the mileage will go up, because nothing wrong with them, it's just the charging system that we are waiting on from Georgia Power. One thing I also want to say, if you look at this is the maintenance record report. If you look at the road costs, you're gonna see that they only have 8. But on the fixed right side, we have 34. That means we're adding all the swap buses and all the buses that were, that broke down all together. That's why we have 34. But actually, they have 8 road calls. That means these buses broke down, and then we had to just tow them in and fix them. And then if you see vehicle out of service, it was 5. So if you add these 2 numbers out and you deduct it from the 34, you're gonna see how many buses were swapped. And we'll make sure that on our next slide, we're gonna highlight the difference between a road call and a swap bus. And this is my last slide, and that's our division update. We said to the board and to the public about our community surplus buses donation. The communication department have done everything. With a lot of campaign on our website, media, and yet still, we have 6 vehicles for donation. We only got 5 applicants. That means there'll be 1 spare bus left. We have set of staff in-house to be part of the award of the buses to the applicants. And I'll say this to the public: the fact that you are selected doesn't mean that you're gonna be awarded a bus. The committee will look into what your organization is for and see if you meet all the criteria that is on our website. And if you do, then you'll be awarded a bus. Area, what's the award date? October 24th? October 24th is the award date. And so public watching us, if you're an applicant, the award date is October 24th, and we're gonna be notifying you. I have this to say about the union, our ATU membership. The union is working very good with my department, and I just wanna give them a kudos and a shout out for this. So the November bid was supposed to go in effect November 6th. And I had a plan and worked with WRA, and we decided to push it a little ahead to November 22nd. And the union did work with us and agreed that. Why we did that is because we assumed that by then the students in training will come out, and as we expand all the new routes that we're bringing out on the November bid, we'll have enough manpower to cover it. And the union really work with us on that. And I just want to say, if they're watching us today, I'll say I appreciate that partnership. The call center, last week, we talked about the call center and all the voice messages that customers will leave on. And we're able to get to it. IT is working so hard to give the manager an access to work on all this voicemails. So in November, I'll be glad to report that we're able to tackle that problem. All the voicemails that were left, we're gonna be very active in responding immediately as they leave messages. I've created a template for the manager to report all calls answered and what the issues were, so I can share with my executive team next month. The last one on my update is the historic graduation ceremony. And this was a very good, as you can see from the picture, for the first time, we had 16 new employees. That's including people that graduated a month before this class, and supervisors, and also a maintenance group. And it was a joyful day for CAT and for the public. This group really came on board and have really helped us out. The paratransit, this was all paratransit, mostly 10 drivers from the paratransit. And ever since they graduated, our paratransit reservations have been all served. We have mostly 0 unassigned reservation. That is good, and I applaud the class with their dedication and their passion for joining us and doing more than we expected. And so I want to tell the public that CAT is a very good workplace, and we have fun. And if you really want to join CAT, you are welcome. We got positions from CDA training. Still have about 4 more for paratransit. Our expansion on microtransit, the CAT Connect. We're going to need drivers for all these positions. So we are open to the public that want to join our workforce. And that is all I have. Any questions, Chairman?
No, sir, I don't have anything. I appreciate everything. And again, the updates that I got from you guys are very helpful when I have to speak with the public or I have to give a report back to the city.
Thank you.
Chairman, I can walk through the rest of the agenda now if you'd like.
Please.
All right, sir. Under old and new business, there'll be an old business item under executive session. And there may be an additional purchase action item that may follow that depending on the board's deliberations around that matter. Under proposed business action for other committees, just so you all have good insight into those as well. On the Financial Services Audit Compliance Committee, of course, we have a number of items. The subrecipient agreement for the Smart Grants program with Georgia Tech. Again, you recall Georgia Tech was our partner on the application that we made, and they are a part of they are the technology side, the technology development side of that grant. And so there's a sub-recipient agreement that is required to be in place in order for us to handle their activities and reimbursements and such. There's an equipment purchase for camera systems that are with the CAT Connect program. You recall this is the program that's under development to serve many of the senior residential facilities in the area. A revenue vehicle purchase for 2 ADA accessible electric vehicles. These are the 2 vehicles that were funded through the SMART grant. And we are going ahead and bringing those in now so that some of the piloting and the testing of the technology and so forth can be occurring before we go live in March. Contract extension, we had an existing contract with Thomas & Hutton. We are extending that contract, a no-cost time extension, to enable them to complete some outstanding tasks related to the dock and the ferry extension or ferry maintenance facility, but particularly with regard to the ferry maintenance facility. Equipment purchase, 2 camera systems. Again, this is through the SMART grant program. These are the ones that go with those vehicles that were mentioned earlier. A policy, we brought in a previous meeting, we brought a travel and reimbursement policy related to the SMART grant program. Since that time, we've received some additional notification and direction from USDOT and the SMART grant program. Again, remember, this is a brand new grant program that's, is still, they're still working on some of those, what would be those normal policies and such. We want to make sure that all of our efforts are in compliance. So we've made a small edit to that policy that's particularly related to some of the activities like the stakeholder committee and the external advisory board, and when they're here and we're conducting those meetings and such, that was particularly related to meeting expense reimbursements. So again, it's just to make sure it's a small edit, but brings us in full compliance. And then a software purchase for contract award to Bonfire. You recall that in a recent meeting, we talked about the fact of a need for some substantial effort and reform in our procurement process, modernization, and making sure that we were everything was that we had a system that helped us to maintain and conduct procurements in a really efficient and effective way. Bonfire is the same system that the county uses. It also works with Munis. And so in collaboration with our partners at the county and otherwise, we have worked and found a way to bring Bonfire online, and we're piggybacking off of another existing contract, I believe. And then under planning and infrastructure development, we've got the IGA with Port Wentworth for service expansion, and the Port Wentworth officials will be here at the regular board meeting. They want to be a part of thanking the CAP board for your consideration of that service expansion. It has gone to the Port Wentworth City Council and was unanimously endorsed there. Then we've also got the DOT shuttle circulator service expansion. The city considered an additional level of support and some targeted expansion of the DOT shuttle. And that was successfully awarded at a recent city council meeting. And so you'll be acting upon that consideration as well. And then the zero emission bus rollout plan, that's the plan that goes along with, we've talked about this also in several of the meetings. You've had that plan, you had a presentation on that plan previously, and we've given you the month to be sure that you had the opportunity to review and comment further and so forth. That, excuse me, that is a requirement as a part of having electric vehicle fleet, is that we show that we've got that plan of how to maintain and operate and so forth. So we're excited to bring that online with some of our other planning efforts. And then under executive governance, we will be, we've also provided to you, and you've had quite some time to be able to review and comment on that, the 2024 legislative agenda. I also had a really good meeting this morning with Mike Becker, who represents us at the state, and Representative Ron Stevens, who chairs the local delegation. And we got a very warm reception for the proposal, both for the electric charging infrastructure through the Georgia Transit Trust Fund, as well as for the commuter transit on shoulder proposal that we have. So I think we've got a really good agenda to put forward on the legislative front. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Chairman.
A question.
Yes, sir.
With the Holt Wentworth expansion, I would like to see that blown up real big, and in order to encourage others to come join us.
Absolutely,
So,
sir.
Maybe when they come, we could take pictures.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Absolutely.
Good,
That
we on
would,
the
that
same
would be
page.
perfect.
Okay.
Very good.
Is that that's everything that you have for us, Mr. Massimo?
It is, sir.
Well, that was a wonderful agenda. That was very informative today. I mean, not unlike others, but this was very informative. If there's nothing else from Director Lockett, do you have anything?
No, I agree with you. It was a very informative meeting.
Do you have our other director there, or is just you and I?
Just you and I.
Okay, well, if there's nothing else from any of our presenters, I adjourn this meeting.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that means it's over.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All
Thank
right.
you, Director Lockett.
You're welcome.
You don't know how many times since then I have gotten the biggest laugh out of you saying, when we got on that motor coach bus at that place, you saying, come on, let's go. And Director Taylor saying, well, you wasn't even worried about him. You know, he said, I'll just be hanging on to the back. You know, y'all were kidding on it. It was just fun.
Yeah, you have to have a little fun every now and then, right there. Keep the morale up and keep everybody comfortably working.
You absolutely do, sir.
All right, so-
Thank you, sir.